Hey everybody, welcome into another update with Director of Athletics Chris Massaro, and an opportunity to spend some time here during the holidays and as the calendar turns to 2025, and there's just so much stuff going on out there.
It's a crazy profession. There's unbelievable changes that have happened in the past 18 months, so it's exciting. I think we're positioned well to adjust to it, and we look forward to our future.
When you were getting your master's degree at Ohio U in their program there, how much of the stuff that's going on today was covered in your classes back then?
Like zero.
Exactly.
You know, we had to do a thesis to graduate. My report was the Norm Ellenberger scandal at New Mexico, at the University of New Mexico, where they were paying players, and what a big scandal that was, and it really rocked the University of New Mexico. And now, 30, 40 years later, that's exactly what we're doing, is we're out there trying to fundraise to get money to help pay players.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's funny how everything comes around, and you look back over the last 20 years or so, there are coaches or programs that were put on probation or shut down. I mean, you think about SMU football back in the day. Almost everything they did then is okay now.
And Jim Tressel got fired at Ohio State because I guess the players were selling the merchandise.
Yeah.
And so
now they have merch stores.
Yeah.
Online.
So it's amazing, and I think some of these changes are for the good. I really do. Yeah. We just need guardrails, Chip.
Yeah, and that's on my list here of things to talk about. One quick thing. I mean, you trained to be an AD, like we talked about. For young people who want to get into the college athletic profession now, what skill sets do they need to be good at?
Well, I think the basic fundamentals, like almost anything, doesn't really change a whole lot. That you have to have some sort of business acumen, the ability to read a balance sheet. I tell people to build a good foundation kind of in the business world. I think psychology and sociology classes are really helpful to make that kind of all molded together, and then obviously law. There's so much in sports law, whether it's contracts, game contracts, player contracts, coaches contracts, all those kind of things, antitrust issues, Title IX issues. So I think those are all three really strong areas. If you can fortify those areas, you can be a really good AD.
Yeah, well, there's a note I just took for a little bit later about law and things that have been going on. But right now, as we move into a new calendar year, I think everybody in their personal life or in their business life, it's an opportunity to kind of take stock. Okay, where are we, and what do we need to do moving forward? And that's kind of what we're here about today, and talk about things that are on the burners, front and back burners. And one of the big things is the Student Athlete Performance Center, the Bill Blue campaign, and now the construction that goes along with that. And every time I come on campus, that building looks a little bit different.
It is, and most of the windows are now put in, which really solidifies its look as a building. And so it's progressing well, Chip. We're embarking on January, and by June, the construction will be completed. Take us a couple of weeks to move in, and so we want to be fully operational by training camp. So we hope to cut the ribbon somewhere in July.
Yep.
And so it's going to be a great tool for us.
Give people a refresher
Sure.
on what all is going to be in that building, level to level.
Yeah, it's an 86,000 square foot building. So if you walk by campus and walk to the Murphy Center area, you get a sense of the size of the building. But even the outside doesn't give you the sense that the inside does when you walk through it, and it is massive. So the first floor will benefit all of our student athletes. We'll have a strength and conditioning room, which will be named after Kevin Byard, for all of our student athletes, and that's 3 or 4 times bigger than the weight room we used to have. There will be a training room in there for all of our student athletes, complete with hydro pools and all the latest technology. We're putting a red light therapy room in there for rest and recovery. We're putting a nutrition.
Could be a blue light room.
The studies are that it's not quite as good as red light, so we'll be in there. That's a good point, though, Chip. And then we'll have a nutrition station as well for all of our student athletes. And then also on the first floor will be housed the football locker room. Inside that locker room, they'll have basically a lounge area for the players. So it'll be really a nice deal. That locker room's a lot bigger than what we've been in. They'll have state-of-the-art lockers. There'll be a massive equipment room for football. So we'll be able to operate really out of 2 equipment rooms now. We'll be able to convert our old equipment room to basically to our Olympic sports. And so that'll be the first floor. The second floor will be basically all football business, and that's where the coaches' offices are. That's where the meeting rooms are. That's where the team auditoriums are. That's where we're going to have a media room as well, so maybe we'll be doing these interviews next year out of that football building, and so it'll be great. We don't really have a place to meet as an athletic staff. We don't have a place to meet as a team. That the team room used to be we used to have to divide it. In the old building, we'd have chairs out, and then there'd be temporary walls that we'd push so the defense could have 4 meeting rooms. We will not have that problem anymore. The defense will have its own meeting room. There'll be a team meeting room. There'll be conference rooms all on that floor. So our coaches and players will have a lot better tools to deal with than what we've given them in the past. And then the third floor, which is really visible from the football field, will be a club-level lounge premium area. During the week, we'll be able to use that for occasional meals for our student athletes, especially for football. But it'll be open to all our student athletes. And then on game days, that'll be a club level. And on each side of the windows, if you look at it now, on each side of the windows will be 2 suites. And these are outdoor suites that'll have a capacity of about 40 people. And one of the suites is already spoken for. It's going to SRM Concrete, who bought the naming rights to the club level. So it'll be the SRM Concrete Club in there. And so they'll have the suite closest to the football practice fields on the east side of that. And the west side is available. So we're in conversations with people to name the building, and so maybe they'll get that suite as a possibility. But if not, it'll be up for sale probably in February.
Yeah. So when you're, let's say from my vantage point during a football game, from the press box, and I'll look down there at that building on a game day, what is it going to look like on game day?
It's going to look fabulous. I mean, you'll have the 2 outdoor suites as you look. And so there will be people in there, and these are going to be really nice suites. And then it's a glassed structure for the club level, and so you'll see that bank of windows. And then the windows that are really at the concourse level of that end zone, that's where all of our football offices will be. So our head football
So they
coach,
can go right out from the...
Yeah, there's a door like Derek Mason's office will be right between the goalposts. He's got a door that can go right out to the concourse. What we're going to do, there's an area to the east side of the building that overlooks the practice fields that you also can get a view of the baseball stadium as well. And we'll put some outdoor living kind of apparatuses out there. So when we're recruiting and those kind of things, it's just additional space for them. So they'll have access to all of that. And to me, that was just some of the best views we have in our athletic department, and our coaches will take advantage of that.
Yeah, and that is phase 1 of the Build Blue campaign. If there's phase 1, that means that there is a phase 2 cooking along, and Murphy Center has been a big part of that. And one of the things you've always talked about during this, and the importance of getting the Student Athlete Performance Center completed, was that then it becomes the domino effect to where it affects every other sport within Murphy Center in a very positive way.
Yeah, I mean, football takes up a lot of space. I mean, they have a locker room in our men's basketball hallway. They've got offices up by where my office is and those kind of things. So when they vacate, we're going to have a lot more space to repurpose. And so that's going to be great. So we'll be able to really expand our men's basketball and what they have and bring their offices down from across from where my office is on the second floor of the Murphy Center, which Nick will probably love that being away from me, and being downstairs kind of by the locker room and by the practice areas, similar to what women's basketball has. And so I think basketball will be the main beneficiary. We'd like we've already started some concepts of this on phase 2. And in phase 1, we're building a new loading dock, which is basically towards the press box side of the football stadium of Murphy Center,
Right.
kind of by AMG and those kind of things. So you'll see all that construction. And so we're moving the loading dock
The southeast corner of Murphy Center.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And so to me, our main entrance off of Greenland was really backwards. That we've had our best donors, our best recruits walk right by the Dipsy dumpsters to enter a really fabulous building. And so to me, it just didn't work. What our concept is to build an entry building into that'll be more ADA friendly. It'll give a grand entrance into a grand building. The Murphy Center is one of the most iconic buildings in our state, and I would say it's the most iconic building in our county by far. I mean, there's so many memories that are attached to Murphy Center. So how do we enhance the experience of Murphy Center? Well, first is the entrance, and you have to feel like you're walking into something special because you are. Right now, we don't have that experience. We either make people go by the Dipsy dumpsters or to navigate those terrible steps, where you can't quite get your gait right to go up onto the concourse level. And so what we would like to do is put a building where that present loading dock is with elevators, escalators, so we can take people and move people to the concourse level easily.
Very similar to like the entrance at Bridgestone Arena. You walk in, it's kind of a grand entrance, and you have escalators that go up. And,
that's the concept.
And help take and make it when you walk in, you want to give that wow factor.
Yeah, and we're working with some architects, the same architects that have designed the Student Athlete Performance Center are designing this concept. And I'm telling you, the plans look great. We're not at the point where we can release them publicly yet, but I think when we do, they become a little bit more refined. There is a tremendous wow factor that's going to be associated with this. We're excited about it because it adds a whole nother element to campus. And what we like is the concept of it's the same design team. So our new tennis center is kind of part of this, that the hotel across the street is part of this master plan. So all these things need to, as architects say, talk to each other. The concepts are there. There's some really neat things to be able to do that. So this building and the Student Athletic Performance Center, and in between you have a pedestrian kind of urban walkway through campus. The Murphy Center has probably more high school kids visit it than any other building on our campus. When you add up our TSSAA, our events, all the high school graduations that occur, and I hear the argument, well, some of those at high school graduation are seniors. Well, yeah, maybe they've made their college choice, but the younger brothers and sisters and cousins that are coming to those graduations have not. And we, as a university, need to put our better foot forward when they come to visit our facilities. And we can take this thing from being a 3 experience to a 9 or 10 type experience. And to me, that's going to benefit the whole university. I just love the concepts. We're talking about a pedestrian bridge that will bridge Middle Tennessee Boulevard that connects the hotel to the Murphy Center and the tennis complex and dump kind of into that sidewalk in between the two. And so that opens up all kinds of opportunities across the street, whether it's parking, whether it's more commercial development, all those kind of things. So what we're trying to do is position this whole concept for the next 20 years. And I'm excited about it. I think we can get government entities excited about it. I think we can get our donor bases excited about it. I think there's a strong argument that it helps lift the entire university because our corner is the visitor center of the university, and it needs to be upgraded to compare with the rest of the university.
Yep. As far as timetables are concerned, you talked about the SAPC will be completed in June, move in from there. What would be your wish for the beginning of construction on Murphy Center, and also what is there any timeline yet on the new on-campus hotel?
Yeah, the on-campus hotel is the bid's been awarded, so they're negotiating some of the finer points with the university. So that thing is progressing, and I think once that contract is signed, then you'll see construction pretty quickly. The one thing about the private sector, and they're used to building hotels after hotels, is they can mobilize quickly. In a state system, it takes a little bit longer. So I think we can see that. I would like to see construction happen, and the beginnings of it happen in 2025.
Okay.
And so that might be an aggressive timeline, but I think it's plausible. And so the Murphy Center renovations, I mean, it's all going to come down to funding.
Right.
You know, and the Board of Trustees has passed some student fees to help with some of that funding. We've got asks out with other entities and those kind of things to see. And we haven't really rolled out the plan yet. And I think when they do, people will get excited about it. And so I really see 2025 as setting that funding stage. You know, and if we can get funding kind of secured in 25, then you can, and at the same time be planning for it, then you can start your construction in 6 months after that, 12 months after that, you know, after you really nail down the design. So it's coming. It'll be here before we know it.
One quick footnote about the hotel. How can that benefit athletics, having it right across the street from basically all of your venues?
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways, you know, and from a practical point of view is we've got the third floor club level that I described on the Student Athlete Performance Center. And so this hotel will not be a full service hotel. So if they need if they need meeting space, we've got rentable space right across the street that's going to be eventually connected with a pedestrian bridge. And so that helps. It helps with the revenue flow. I think that it adds to the ambiance of the university. I think the other thing that we can do is just little things like, hey, if you stay at this hotel, you get automatic tickets to whatever event the university's hosting at, whether it's a play at Tucker Theater, whether it is a baseball game or a softball game or basketball game, football game, whatever it might be, it's right there. I just think that it adds to Chip. What we need to do is set more of a commercial center to where we exist. Like in Murfreesboro, the commerce has really shifted out towards the interstate, and it's great out there. But we can have a little pocket of commercialization, whether it's restaurants and those kind of things that you typically see around a college campus. And so the idea is that the hotel will help spur some of that development as well. And to me, if we can make this corner, along with the corner with our partners and with the Boulevard and kind of that corner on
all
Main
down
and
East Main.
Yeah, and those kind of things. So we ring our campus, and to me that helps our students.
Oh, yeah.
It helps us with recruiting. The other thing is that going back to the Murphy Centers, we want to make it an entertainment center as well. You know, we had the Judd's concert about a year and a half ago, which was a huge success. We've recently signed a contract with this organization to help us put on NIL concerts. So what we've done is given them the rights to we would help them with the Murphy Center. We would help them with Floyd Stadium. We'd partner with them, and some of our proceeds would go to NIL and also the university. So we're excited to activate that. We would like to have a concert in the spring, either in the stadium or in the Murphy Center.
I've always thought the stadium would be a great
It's
spot
fantastic.
for that, and obviously Murphy Center. The Judge you mentioned, that brought back a lot of great memories for a lot of folks around town. I think just last week I was looking through my memories, and Bruce Springsteen was here 40 years ago last week or something like that. And that just goes on and on. But are we talking like A-list folks, or maybe even a music festival or something on that order?
I don't. You know, I mean, obviously, we would love to get A-list folks and those kind of things. I think that given where we exist in the marketplace and our location in Nashville, we have opportunities that other schools might not have. So I don't want to discount that, but there's also a lot of great acts that we can bring in here that maybe the rising star before they really hit the megastar status, and also the ones that have been megastars that maybe the bloom's a little bit
on the backside.
On the backside of
the fire a little bit.
So to me, there's a market there that we can capitalize on it, and we just have to get people and traffic patterns coming to us. You know, and we need to offer more than just basketball and football. We need to be the entertainment hub of Murfreesboro and return to that status. And so these concerts and these additions will help us in that space.
They're also, in addition to the big events, there are going to be some smaller, more intimate events that will benefit the NIL, and one of those, you've got I think a songwriters event coming up in February down with some great partners with Uncle Nearest, the distillery there in North Bedford County.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think the tentative date we have for that is February 13th. So to me, it was like a perfect date. It's like, it's not on Valentine's Day, but if you want to use it for a Valentine's Day experience, it's close enough that it makes a wonderful date night. And I love those songwriters, round tables and those kind of things. And again, Chip, what we just said about leaning into our area, leaning into the music industry. We've developed some great partnerships with Bev Keel's group over at the School of Media and Entertainment. And so how do we all work together to make this thing really work? And so we've got that's probably the first one up with this, and it's ALC Group is who we've signed the contract with to really put on these kind of shows. And there are other smaller type shows and other venues that we can bounce around and do that. And we just need to, like I said, just be part of that entertainment hub. It's sort of escaped us for the last 15, 20 years. And to bring part of it back, there's no reason why we can't get the Harlem Globetrotters to play some games at Murphy Center. So it doesn't necessarily have to be concerts.
Right.
It can be other shows. It can be comedians. It can be a variety of things. We just need to get into the game a little bit.
Yep. And that because we've seen everything from the circus. I mean, when you go back to the 52 years or so of Murphy Center, all kinds of things. Well,
and we do things like that, Chip, and then that makes the hotel more valuable. That makes the commercial property across the street, across Middle Tennessee Boulevard more valuable because we get traffic. We're generating commerce. There's activity there. People want to be a part of that. And for us, long range, that's got to be vital to our athletics department.
Yeah. And one of the things you're going to have to maneuver as you prepare to schedule Chris Fest out in the stadium is the turf
I
replacement.
think Chip Fest might be
I don't know
better.
about that, but one thing people may not know is that the 2025 football season there will be a new
Yeah.
turf on the field.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Royal blue?
It's no, we're not going to do ourselves Boise, but it's going to look. I think we've got images of it that will be shown, but
The technology of what they can do with it
it's
now
amazing.
is really amazing.
because now you can just paint it right into the surface, so they can stitch it right in. So our MT logo at midfield with the state of Tennessee that borders it, it can be in. They don't have to stitch it in. It's already kind of painted in and factorized in when they produce the turf. So it's really going to be great technology. We're excited about it. I think the look of the new turf, the look of the new building when we do 2025, a new football team basically, because this year's team was it was a tough watch, you know, and some of our games were very hard to watch. So we need to change that in a hurry.
Have a good product.
Yeah, and have a good product out there and those kind of things. And so that's what we're shooting for.
Yep. We're at a time now where obviously you still need folks for the Build Blue to continue the phases of that project. You also have NIL, you have the BRAA. And so kind of give us some advice here on how fans, there's a lot of things that are pulling at everybody these days, and how can they best maneuver that and to be good fans, good alums, and also know that they're helping out?
Yeah, and I mean that's what I kind of like is we've almost got this a la carte type menu. Not everybody's fully embraced the NIL, you know, and so we've got very
There's a
significant
lot of old school,
donors.
new school thoughts.
Yeah, there are, and so if you're not part of that new school thought, that's okay because we've still got our traditional BRAA annual fund needs, you know, and we've got our Build Blue needs that would help with the phase 2 of the Murphy Center, so people can still significantly help the university by those two avenues. And then what we've done, we as an industry, we've created this NIL industry as well, and I do believe there's people there that maybe might not contribute to those other two places, and so that's become really important to us. That we saw this year that, you know, how important the line of scrimmage is on both sides of the ball, and talent acquisition. We need to raise our game, and so this December, that Lee DeLeon's done a great job here, and Hans Mayo Branch as well, Derek Mason and myself. That's been a focal point of us, is trying to build that NIL. And we've got great partners, and Jonathan McGuire leads a group of Raiders Rising, which is our collective, so people can donate to Raiders Rising and really give an immediate impact to our football recruiting, because it's getting more transactional. I don't buy into the theory that it's completely transactional. I still think that you develop a culture, you treat people right, that we have some advantages, and we have some advantages of location that some of our competitors don't. And so, but that's a really important piece of us, because the collective, the NIL, what you can do, the revenue share, the house settlement, all those kind of things are driving the price of fielding a football team. And now we've got to be competitive in this space. So if we want a good offensive line, then we'll probably have to pay some money for it.
Yeah, and Coach Mason has expressed that, obviously, and he has, you know, they've embraced the new way of doing business in college football. from the day he walked in.
Yeah, and I think that was a big thing that when we were doing our coaches search, somebody that could generate that kind of feeling in the community. The other key to this is we just don't want to attack the same boosters. That there's a big danger that we get into booster fatigue by just hitting the same person time after time after time.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, time out. Can somebody else help with this?
Yeah.
So what NIL has done is it's helped broaden our base a little bit. And what Derek Mason's done is help broaden our base because he's got some connections into Vanderbilt and into the Nashville area that we probably didn't have. And so when we hired Derek, that was one of the attractions is he's known locally, he's liked locally, he can expand our corporate community, and we've seen that happen thus far. So to me, he's been great at that. He'll go out there and he'll meet with anybody. He doesn't turn down a community opportunity, and that stuff will start paying dividends very soon.
Yeah, obviously the portal has been a big deal with everybody. Has
Sure.
to be now.
Yeah.
How do junior college players play? How do they fit in anymore? Because middle has had very, very good success, basically in all sports with high school players and junior college players.
Yeah, and I think that with the portal, like there's so much activity at the Power 4 levels too that there's less activity at the high school level, and for sure there's less activity at the junior college level. So you can go into those places and maybe get a quality player that you might not have been able to get in to get them to listen to your sales pitch 2 or 3 years ago. The recent we're taping this the morning after the Pavia ruling that for him that there's a temporary injunction that his junior college years don't count. And so what we're trying to do is to see how that impacts our current rosters. Basically, we have a lot in junior college players in basketball that this could potentially give them additional eligibility. Baseball is another sport that would impact a lot. Football, the last couple of years, maybe not so much currently here, but we've got commitments from junior college kids that are in this class, so they might have more eligibility than we anticipated when before they signed their grant and aid.
Yeah.
So we'll stay tuned. That's a piece of the puzzle that we've got to monitor very closely. The exciting thing about what's happening is it changes every 3-4 months. And so
if not every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. And in some ways, I kind of find it invigorating because it presents whole new opportunities for us. And it gives us a chance. Whenever there's seismic change, you have a chance to position your program forward and make a real leap if you handle the change correctly. And so that's our challenge and what we need to do. And the junior college space now with that recent ruling is going to get very interesting at every place, because we all have junior college kids that we would love to bring back for another year or two.
Yeah. Speaking of seismic change, we've seen it in conferences. Obviously, the Atlantic and Pacific Coast Conference now, the new Big Ten, the SEC expanded. Conference USA will be losing a member but gained one new one this year and have 2 more coming. Where do you see Conference USA fitting into the puzzle, and how do you see the future?
I think we're positioned quite well. We had 4 really good football teams in Conference USA that were as good as any other Group of 5 league. The problem was schools like us, that we did not have the kind of season that we wanted to have, so we kind of dragged the rest of the league down. That's an anomaly for us, and we need to get back into that spot. So Liberty showed us last year that you can make back then it was the New Year's Day Bowl, be the best group of 5 team. Now the best group of 5 team gets into the college football playoff. And so Liberty showed us last year that that's possible out of our league. You know, our goal is to be the best group of 5 program out there. And you look and see what Boise did this year. They had such a good season. Their only losses, I think they lost to 3 at Oregon, who's the number 1 seed, and Boise's got a bye. And so they're automatically into the quarterfinals. So that's all we want is an opportunity. And so I think that Conference USA's positioned well. We're positioned well to be able to be one of those teams. You look at our men's basketball right now as a league. We're 9th in our RPI ratings when you stack the other leagues to it.
Out of 32.
Yeah. And
which is a good spot to be in.
We've been kind of fluctuating back and forth with the American, you know, and I don't know if, because Memphis had a big win last night, if that impacted the American, if they've leapfrogged us or whatever. But we're right there, 9 or 10. So we're one of the top 10 leagues in the country, and there's some really quality basketball teams that when we hit conference play, it's going to be a dogfight. And we're right in there. Our men's basketball team is significantly improved. We've got a chance to win the league in men and women's basketball. So it's going to be an exciting piece for us. And those are the vehicles that CUSA provides. And what I like about our conference right now is our basketball tournament's in Huntsville, Alabama. And so the way it is now, that those 3 days in March mean everything. And so I would encourage our fans, if you've not made plans, please make them to go down to Huntsville for the CUSA basketball tournament in March, because we need to turn that into a home court advantage. Both our men's and women's team have a legitimate chance to win it, and we need your help to help us do that.
Yep, and you stole a couple of my bullet points right there, but
I'm sorry.
No, but that's fine.
We didn't do that in rehearsal, I guess.
No,
huh?
I guess so. But you know what the bottom line is, every Thursday and Saturday, there's going to be you will come out here and watch and be proud of a really good team. You've got a terrific women's team, as Coach Insel has always put out there. Nick McDevitt's men's team has faced a gauntlet of a schedule, and as we move into conference play, again, they're going to be in that 3 or 4 that are going to be battling for the regular season championship.
Yeah, and they're a fun team to watch.
And easy to pull for.
Yeah, they are. They are. And so last year we struggled. I mean, particularly this time of year, we had the injury to Cam Weston, and it exposed some weaknesses we had at point guard, and we had to play Justin Porter out of position, and it took a long time to adjust. But we ended up being in the semifinals in Huntsville, so we kind of righted the ship a little bit.
Yeah.
But we needed an influx of talent, and the coaching staff went out and did that. And this team it's good.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to watch. I also like our women's team, man. They just keep plowing along. I mean, we've got a chance we've got a big game at Princeton, you know, between Christmas and New Year's to get a top 50 type net win there and bag one of those to help solidify an argument for an at-large bid if we don't win in Huntsville. But to me, we're a clear favorite in Huntsville. A lot of people would say we're the team to beat, you know, and
make it a home court advantage down there.
We need to make sure it all works for us.
And with all of that being said about basketball, we're about a month away from the Groundhog Day luncheon, and softball and baseball are just around the corner.
They are, and that's, you know, when the calendar flips to January, all the spring sport athletes come back, you know, and so we're excited about those two sports that I think that both of them have fortified the pitching and are excited about what we're going to present in the circle and on the mound for those two diamond sports. Also, you know, that we're a month out from the indoor men's tennis season as well. And what Jimmy's been able to do with that program has been nothing short of remarkable. So we'll be going for our 6th straight CUSA title this spring. Both golfs should be doing well as well. So we're in for a really fun spring.
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of wind up, I had a note. I wanted to kind of bounce back and take a. We kind of started out with a 50,000-foot view of where college athletics is, and I had a note about right before Christmas, Charlie Baker, the executive director of the NCAA, had to go in front of a congressional committee, which I would not wish that on my worst enemy. And he has a tough job because I think one of the things, and he kept making the point time after time that the rulings and the guidelines that college athletics goes by not only has to comply with federal law, but with 50 different sets of state laws. And you talked about guardrails on transfers and NIL. Is he? I'm sure you know him. And how confident are you in his leadership and where he's taking the NCAA and trying to maneuver the shark-infested waters?
Yeah, and I love his leadership.
Yeah,
and I've had opportunities to meet him. I think he's the exact type of person we need at the exact time. I wish he would have had this opportunity 2 years ago. Chip, his background is he's a Republican he's a Republican governor in the state of Massachusetts, which is historically blue. Yeah, that's hard to do. So he's used to tough audiences. He's used to tough rooms, and he's used to working across the aisle to find a solution that will match everybody. So I think he's got enough political acumen to be able to do that. It's hard because you don't know sometimes whether it's at the state level or at the federal level when members of the legislative body make some statements, whether that's their core belief or they're grandstanding a little bit, and so how do we cut through that? And I think the consensus was with the same party controlling Congress that you have a better chance. Yeah. And so the next 2 years it'll be a Republican-run Congress, so maybe you don't have to have as much bipartisan support to get something through. But I think everybody on both sides of the aisle would agree that this is a little bit too much of the wild, wild west, and so where are our solutions? And so we just need to do this. I think the ruling yesterday, and the NCAA's point, I think part of their statement is this further illustrates the need to have some sort of federal guidelines, some sort of common laws that we all work out. Because what's happened now is that everybody's taking little pieces of the NCAA structure, and if you don't like it, you sue for it, or you pass a state law that says this is now illegal in our state. And so eventually that's going to be really impossible for all of us to operate in a uniform fashion. So I think almost everybody agrees that if we can just get in there and all sides kind of talk and deliberate, we can find some solutions. I think the House settlement, while there's elements that I don't really like, there's some elements in there that I really do like. And that's probably a sign of a good compromise, and whatever it is, just tell us what it will be, and we'll adapt. And I think our job at Middle Tennessee is to be flexible enough to be able to adapt and to be able to thrive in whatever this new structure is. And so I've got confidence in Charlie Baker. I'm not as confident maybe in the whole NCAA structure. Maybe that needs to be seriously tweaked, and those kind of things. So it's going to be an interesting year or two on that front. But I think that Well, let me just say this. I feel better about that direction and coming up with some sort of guardrail solution in the next 2 years than I maybe did 2 years ago, because some of this stuff's starting to settle, and I think people on our side of the fence, us practitioners, have realized that, man, it's a whole new world. We can't operate like we did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's just an impossibility. We can talk about how romantic that vision was and those kind of things, but it doesn't exist anymore, and we have to face that reality.
Yeah. Well, it's been a good opportunity to sit down and get an update on everything that's going on. Anything I didn't bring up that you want to make mention of before we wrap it up?
No, I just what we need is, more than ever, we need a unified front, and as we search for solutions, and fans always ask, what can they do? And that part really hasn't changed either. Like, the biggest thing we want from our fans is participation. Like,
come to the games.
Come to the games. You're going to be entertained. We offer tremendous value in all of our sports, and our kids do a great job of representing the blue and white. When they put Middle Tennessee across their uniform, we're really proud of what they represent. So come watch that. You'll be entertained. You'll be thrilled by the way our student athletes represent our community, represent our school, represent our state. And so just come. And that's the biggest thing. And then if you have the wherewithal, maybe you can help us on a grander level. But that's what we need, is we need that grassroots.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Chip. It was fun.
All right, that's going to wrap
Happy holidays
up.
to everybody.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and best wishes for a new and very good 2025. That's going to wrap up our update with Director of Athletics, Chris Massaro. And folks, don't forget, be loud, be proud.